Welcome and thank you for watching. For those who are not familiar with this channel, my name is Mucyo Balinda, and for the last 3 weeks I've started developing a topic of how to understand people. And in the first episode I talked about the challenges of understanding people. In the second episode I talked about what it actually means to understand people. And in this episode I want to go a step further, whereby I explain how to understand people from another culture. Basic human understanding will help you get by in your relationship with fellow human beings wherever you go. Just get by. However, cultural competence will help you thrive in everything you do wherever you are. Do you want to just get by, or do you want to thrive in your relationships with your fellow human beings? Whether it is in your personal relationship or it's in your business relationships, this question still applies to you. Let's get started. Let's jump into our subject. I'd like to start by saying that at the core, or above all else, above everything else, we are all human beings. That is the starting point. Above all else, we are human beings. We have the same needs, same basic needs. We need shelter, we need security, we need acceptance, we need encouragement, we need to feel a sense of belonging. It doesn't matter where you were born. It doesn't matter how you were born. It doesn't matter how you were raised. The needs are universal. Whether you're born in China, whether you're born in Afghanistan, whether you were born in Mauritania or Morocco, wherever it is, we have the same basic needs. However, I'll have to admit, how we were raised or where we were raised may influence how we express our needs, because we may tend to play down certain needs or amplify others based on where we grew up. However, by repressing a need, you don't make that need go away. It's still there. It's just that it is repressed. It's downplayed. But when other people recognize and acknowledge that need, you will feel good. For example, if you grew up in an environment where you were discouraged to display vulnerability, to show that you are vulnerable, to show or express your true feelings, when you grow up as an adult, of course, you will tend to hide your true feelings. You'll tend to live as if you are self-sufficient. You don't need other people. Yes, it is good to be self-sufficient, but at the same time, we need other people to help us in our endeavors. We are not islands. We are meant to live in communities, and communities help each other. And so, if that is your case, you need to acknowledge, you need to understand that that need did not go away just because you downplay it. It's still there. And when others recognize it and do something about it, it makes you feel good. You feel supported. You feel like you belong to a community. So, if at the core we are all the same, or we need the same thing, why is it different? Why is it difficult to understand people from other cultures? You need shelter, I need shelter. You need acceptance, I need acceptance. Why is it that difficult for me to understand you? And why is it difficult for you to understand me? Over time, societies establish behaviors. They establish rules. They establish traditions that dictate how people ought to behave in their society. Whether when meeting with their member of society or meeting with people outside their society, those rules will dictate how they ought to operate, how these rules dictate how they greet others. They dictate how they interact with the people from other cultures. They define how this individual will interpret the world around them. And success in society will depend on how well we understand these rules and how we apply them to our lives. When we go to the store, how well we abide by these rules. When we go to school, when we go to church, when we go to them, wherever we are. When we show that we understand these rules and we live by them on a daily basis, we will succeed, or we will be successful members of our society. Is there an element that determines how easy it is to understand another culture? Well, it's clear. It all depends on your mind, how flexible it is, and how willing you are to go outside of your comfort zone. It's those two elements that will determine how successful or how easy it will be for you to adapt or to learn a new culture, to thrive in a new cultural environment. The flexibility of your mind and your willingness to adapt, to adjust to a new environment. And adjusting to a new culture or a new environment, it doesn't mean that you are unhappy with what you have or who you are. No. It's just that you're looking to expand, to enrich your experience so that you can see what else is out there, what other people are doing, how they interpret the world. You're expanding, you're enriching your life experience. And this is not something for people who have a rigid mind. As I said, you need to have a flexible mind. You move from this to that. It's not meant to mean that you are giving up who you are for something else or for someone else. No, you are adjusting to new realities. And if you have a rigid mind, you cannot do this, because what you know is what you consider to be true or to be right, and everything else is wrong. That's it. That's what a rigid mind does. This is what I know, and this is what is. Nothing else matters. But if you have a flexible mind, you are willing to question what you see, what you have, what you know. Is there some other ways? Is there something else out there? And your mind is constantly looking to find other ways of doing things, other ways of interpreting the world around you. That is the kind of mind that will thrive in a multicultural environment. You are not intimidated by the unfamiliar. You don't look at it as something wrong, something to be corrected. Instead, you look at it as something different. And curiosity intrigues you. It makes you want to go and see what else is out there. And if you want to succeed in a multicultural environment, or you want to better understand a different culture, you must refrain from the temptation of seeing that culture from the lenses of your own culture. In other words, you must stop taking your culture as your point of reference. This is how we do things. They ought to do things this way. Oh, they don't do it this way, that means they're inferior, or they're wrong, or no, that's not how it ought to be done. When you're entering a new culture and you want to understand it, you stop looking at the world using the lenses of your culture. You start things from scratch. You approach that new culture like a newborn. No preconceived ideas. You just go in and you learn everything from scratch. That is the approach of somebody who's willing, who's looking to excel in a multicultural environment. Curiosity, and at the same time, flexibility. It's not, this is how things are. This is how they ought to be. And when you approach another culture using your own, the lenses of your own culture, guess what you'll do? You'll judge them. You'll criticize them. And remember, you cannot build relationships through judgment and criticism. However, you build lasting relationships through understanding. You must be looking to understand rather than to judge. And therefore, all preconceived ideas, everything you've heard about the new culture, you must set aside. Open your ears, open your eyes, open your heart, open your mind to see, to hear, and live the experience firsthand. So that you're not going by what somebody else has told you, what YouTube video told you, what XYZ book told you. No. You seeing things with your own eyes, you hearing things with your own ears, you experiencing life firsthand. And I'm sure you look to understand other cultures, not for the sake of understanding the culture. You seek to understand other cultures because you want to establish relationships. It could be personal relationships, it could be business relationships. Whatever it is, you look to understand other cultures for relationship purposes. So you must make an effort to create relationships with those people. And the way you do it is forgetting everything you know and allow those people to teach you. Allow those people to show you how things are done in their own culture. And once you are inside the culture, you'll start to see why they do the things they do, how they do them. And it will help you expand your way of thinking. It will help you expand your way of understanding how the world operates. And this perspective is applicable for somebody who's traveling to another country, somebody who finds themselves into a different culture. But what happens when people from other cultures come to you? It could be in your work, your co-workers, or your employees. It could be your classmates. It could be your neighbors. How are you to interact with these people? Well, the rule of thumb would say that if they come to you, they must learn your ways. They must do things the way you do them. However, understand that you will be impractical. You'll be unrealistic to expect the people from other cultures to behave exactly like the people who are native to your culture. There will be things that they will not be able to do like your countrymen. They will do them the way they know how to, the way it's done in their own cultures. And when you see that, it should not be a cause for alarm. It should be an opportunity for you to make adjustments, to look at things differently. Oh, I never knew that could be done that way. I never knew that things can be done in this way. You see, it expands your horizon. It expands your way of thinking. It expands your perspective. And that is how we become culturally competent in a new environment. It could be the people are in your environment, and by allowing them to become themselves different things, you're learning how to operate in a multicultural environment. But if you close your doors and say, no, you are here, you're supposed to act this way, any other ways will not be acceptable. You will be limiting those other peoples, and you'll be limiting yourself. You won't be able to have a rich life experience because you're only limiting your experience to what you know, to what is familiar. Therefore, in a multicultural environment, there is a need for adjustments on those involved. There are sacrifices here and there. However, when you make sacrifices, it doesn't mean that you give up you in order to make somebody else comfortable. And they also should not give up themselves in order to please you. So you make concessions here and there, you make adjustments just to make sure they are comfortable enough to be themselves and you are comfortable enough to be yourself, so that together you can unite your energies in order to do what needs to be done in your environment, in order to have a peaceful society, in order to have a more harmonious environment where everybody can do and be what they need to be.